Kirk's Law Corner. It is March 23rd, 2026. We're cruising right along this year already. Almost 3 months down. Now, I haven't been keeping up with everything that's going on out there. I got a lot on my own plate here, dealing with what I got to deal with. But all I can say is that there's some serious stuff going on in the States. Been trying to explain this to people for quite some time, pursuant to the executive order Trump did March 28th, 2025, bringing the military into the States. Good evening out there, Wendy, Freedom Fighter, Jill Z, JPC5, Diesel D is good to see you, brother. Michael Casper, good to see you. Jim Valentine, Radar Star, Paint Gun Spooty, Gail Hedrick, and anybody else that's not listed there on Telegram. And Jacqueline, good to see you out there on Rumble. Paint Gun Spooty, did I get you? Yeah, you're in there. Freedom Fighter, yep, alright, you're here. Our good old Canadians hanging out tonight. God bless, thank you all for being here. All caps, False Prophet, good to see you. Out on Rumble there. Alright, thanks Wendy for checking audio and everything. X is broadcasting. Rumble's good. Telegram good. Everybody here all right? Oh man, it's been a good couple of weeks here, house sitting, dog sitting. I came back home yesterday to make sure I was here for tonight so I can do my broadcasting from here. So yeah, just kind of hanging out, having fun with a big old black lab. I sure miss having a dog, actually, so it's kind of weird. Definitely bringing back some memories that I had with my own dog. So I don't know if I'm ready to have another dog, but it's been fun. They'll be back late tonight, probably by around midnight or so. So tomorrow I'll be back to regular routine for me, I guess. Back to my own home and no dog. But having a dog's a lot of work, you know. You can't, you know. I take my dog with me everywhere I can go with it. So it's like having a kid, you know. But good times. He's being a good puppy dog. Such a good dog. Oh, let's see. What do we got? Who else out here? Jacqueline. I don't see Karen or Mark Bond yet. But I've seen a couple now judges that have been arrested. One's been prosecuted. Right, Jacqueline? Having a dog is just like children. Yep. They don't have to be clothed, but they sure need to be fed and watered and exercised. They definitely depend on us 100%. Kids, once they get to a certain age, you can kind of leave them. they'll be okay. But dogs, like this one, he's so attached, right? He's got to have somebody there 24/7, somebody by his side. He really does not like being left alone. Yep, responsibility, you know, makes you grow up. There's Mark. Good to see you, brother. And Karen, there you go. Good to see you, Karen. Lex Anamata, out on YouTube says that there's an explosion at the Valero refinery in Port Arthur, Texas. Does not look too good. Oh boy. Well, again, we're at war. This is what war looks like. It's not your standard war where we got straight up just fighting one another. There's psychological operations going on here. And then we have this is an internal war here in America. We have a lot of infiltrators, sometimes referred to as deep staters. And the thing is this is worldwide when we're talking about deep staters, right? The deep state of being corrupt, those involved in serious human rights abuse and corruption worldwide. This I've explained this before, but so many people just don't. I don't know. They can't grasp the magnitude of what it means when they or we are talking about the deep state. The pharmaceutical industry, the international bankers. It's human trafficking, child trafficking, organ harvesting. It's huge, folks. It's much, much, much bigger than most people can even fathom. And I see it in comments all over the place, and people just do not get it. They think Trump's a racist, a bigot, a fascist, and there's even some former Trump supporters that are not supporting and liking what Trump's doing right now with Iran. But it's like, don't people remember all the previous presidents all talked about taking Iran down and fighting Iran? Did we forget about that? Or you just weren't paying attention then, so this just seems like it's new to you. You're just not old enough to remember, and you're only engaging now because it's Trump, or because you're just getting old enough to pay attention. But I got news for you. Been around for a long time. A lot of different presidents long before Trump. Okay? Bush, Obama, Clinton, even Clinton when she wasn't, when she was just Secretary of State, was talking about how Iran needed to be taken down. So, I'm just blown away at how many people aren't aware of all this stuff, and then want to make comments about it and how it's all bad and all this stuff. And it's like some of my friends that have been Trump supporters before are now changing their minds and stuff. And I'm just like, man, you're getting out too soon. You're not seeing the bigger picture. Yeah, even Jimmy Carter. Robert Mueller, yep, Yeah, there's definitely lots of people in government over the years, decades. Easily the 4 previous presidents before Trump all talked about Iran. So It shouldn't be that big of a surprise, but it seems to be. But, these are corrupt governmental regimes. That's Executive Order 13818, blocking the property. It's civil asset forfeiture, taking them over. We shouldn't be doing that. Really? You don't understand. It's affecting not. It's affecting America. It has been for many times, many years. And the thing is, like NATO. Okay. What is NATO? Who supports that? Who funds that? We do. And this is going to come to quite a surprise to a lot of people, but I discovered on Avalon that the United Nations was actually created out of California. That's right, California, United Nations. We got all this World Economic Forum and the World Health Organization and United Nations, all this stuff on a world stage, and we don't even comprehend that that's trying to dominate. That's that one world government, and that Trump has pulled us out of all of that. And again, United Nations. We don't have any money. We're running out of money. We're probably going to have to shut down. Yeah, that's because Trump pulled all the funding. We as taxpayers, we're okay with this? Now that you know, you should be happy that this stuff's being defunded. The American people have been debt slaves for so long, we don't even realize what it's like to not be a debt slave. And again, remember, Trump's inauguration, the very first one. This is not a transfer of power from one administration to another, but a transfer of power back to the people. Exactly. All caps false prophet out here in Rumble. All just Vatican creations. London, Vatican, and D.C. This is... Hey, Greg. Danuk. Yeah, there's another Canadian out there on Facebook. Good to see you, brother. Right, Mark? If we ever had power, that's the problem. We haven't. They stole the power from us. Even from the War of 1812, and even the Constitution itself. And like I said, I discovered in the documents illustrative the formation of the Union of the American States, the secret debates and proceedings, that they knew that they were usurping their powers. That in that documents illustrative, right? That secret debates and proceedings is prima facie evidence that the Constitution for the United States of America, 1789 there, was a fraud. It was unlawful. They were only supposed to be making amendments to the Articles of Confederation. They were not supposed to be making a brand new Constitution. No, no, no. Sassy Sarah loves Minnesota, and you're a dork. Well, welcome to the club. Yeah, there's some stuff about Minnesota. There's some things that we were working on in the background there. E-clause and a certain woman who used to live in Minnesota put in some pretty crucial documents. Petition both to the state legislature and Congress. Some of that stuff is being dealt with now. Now, once I get cleared to talk about that, we'll be discussing those things. Okay? So, as of right now, there's just a hint for you. There was stuff filed regarding Minnesota back in 2019, 2020. Okay? It's just now being dealt with. Trust me. But good times for real. Things are changing, and people keep saying, "Oh, I don't see any arrests happening." Well, you're not paying attention, because I've been sharing many different arrests over the years. Yeah, there are arrests happening now. For the most part, mainstream media is not reporting on that kind of stuff. Why would they? They don't want the people to know that corruption is being taken down, that judges are getting arrested, that entire city councils are wiped out, county commissioners, county level government just gone overnight. Yeah, I know Minnesota is pretty corrupt due to Sharia law and um, foreign invaders. And I see your comment out there on YouTube, Sassy Sarah. There, I will neither admit nor deny your last comment there. But once it gets through some of this stuff, I'm being told, gotta hold off for now. But in due time, right? They took more meth off the streets this year, and we're talking about Minnesota here, than they have in the last 5 years. That's because they've been putting it out on the streets. So, yeah. Yeah, Texas is under big time scrutiny right now. Now, I want to reiterate something we did here in Idaho. Our Idaho legislature and the governor passed the bill there that death by firing squad if you're a child pedophile. You're into child pedophilia and kidnapping and that kind of stuff. In Idaho, you'll be sentenced to death and death by firing squad here in Idaho. They built a special place out there for this. So Idaho's getting ramped up for executions. And I kind of said this in private through Wednesday night workshop and stuff, but there's a lot of Hollywood actors up in a place called Sun Valley. Sun Valley is a high mountain getaway for the rich and the elite. Let's just put it that way. And I've been there quite a few times. I've even been up there camping. But I used to deliver batteries up there when I worked for Standard Batteries. And I tell you, kind of gives me the heebie-jeebies. That town, it just... good to see you, Ralph K. and Palindrome. Good to see you. here on Telegram. Yeah, I know about the fentanyl. That's happening. I know my brother Jonathan Townsend Alexander down there in Yuma, Arizona. He has helped with Border Patrol in seizing loads and loads of fentanyl over the last couple of years. Actually, it's been more than 2 years, probably the last like 4 or 5 years. But it's massive, folks. This is huge, and it's been going on for a long time. So I'm going to say this again. I think a lot of this stuff is going to be taken care of by July 4th, our 250th anniversary. It's based on what Trump's been talking about. Okay? And I think that's when we're going to get to see some of this stuff. Maybe. I don't know. But we'll see. We'll see how all this works out. Hey, James, good to see you, brother. Yeah, squeaky wheel gets the grease. That's right. So this goes back to, the March 2nd video that I did on, doing the public corruption complaints, executive order, how that's all been implemented into the states. And, I have to get down to the crux of this, because in the Wednesday night workshop last week we were talking about this, and we're getting at how that this is all a military operation. That this is what we need to comprehend now. Anything federal, okay, Second Amendment, a well-regulated militia being necessary for security of a free state. So, how many people realize that the FBI is technically part of the militia, that well-regulated militia, as of Trump administration the first time around? Okay, all this stuff was being reorganized, and so we have FBI. You got Homeland Security, you've got ICE. That's still all military, because that's the only thing we're supposed to have, a well-regulated militia, which is the well-regulated militia is the military. Okay? So, take a look at the uniforms they're wearing. Does that not look like military when it's even FBI, ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement? Hi, Rosalynn. Good to see you. Harold Eugene, good to see you. That's it's all military. They're wearing military uniforms. Yeah. Okay. Don't forget our U.S. Marshals, right? Now, U.S. Marshals are a little bit different. That's really on the civilian side. It's non-military, but it's still a well-regulated militia. But that's actually done by the people and not the military. So the U.S. Marshals are a little bit different than actual military, which is the Army, the Navy, Marines, Coast Guard, and Air Force. Okay? So, and that's the thing, is back in 2021 there was informed that Hey, they were starting to unseal indictments in 2021, and they were starting to execute warrants. The U.S. Marshals were starting to execute warrants then. So there have been a lot of people that have been arrested since 2021. We're just not seeing it out there because it's all happening behind the scenes. It's not something that mainstream media is sharing. They're not reporting on that stuff. So just because mainstream media isn't reporting on it doesn't mean that it's not happening. I know that's contrary to popular belief, but mainstream media isn't reporting it, then it isn't happening. Well, I got news for you. That would be an incorrect presumption and assumption. Oh, well, glad to see that you're catching it now, John. John Hartman out here on Facebook. Yeah, I've been on Facebook for a long time. Hey, Bobby Hall, good to see you. Yeah, I think for the most part I've been suppressed, right? Ah, okay. Rosalie, and yeah, for donations for me, folks, in the comment section there, or in the I know that Wendy has posted a lot of stuff already out there. He usually comes on and posts stuff here when he makes it on. But in my description there's the buy me a coffee link. Okay, there's Patreon membership there, and then of course at my website kirkslawcorner.com, you can always send cash wrapped in aluminum foil, any gold silver coinage, money orders, anything like that. You can send that through the snail mail. But I at least have the buy me a coffee now. Those links are in the description. I do not have PayPal. I do not have Cash App. I do not have Venmo. Make sure that you're using the links that are being provided here. Apparently somebody's trying to impersonate me out there again. Giving out Cash App. Saying, oh yeah, make a donation to me on Cash App. I don't have Cash App. They took me down years ago, just like they did at all the other patriots, claiming we're fraudsters. Well, I'm still going. If I'm such a fraud, then how come nothing has happened? How come I haven't been charged? How come I haven't been taken down? Yeah, I'm Bobby. Just so you know, I'm already broadcasting on X, and I'm broadcasting on Rumble. So if you're on X, you can go on to X and uh, share the X live. So even YouTube, I'm still letting it go on YouTube, but they give me one strike, I'm just done. And honestly, I just don't want to really broadcast on YouTube because I don't want them making money off of my videos. But I see quite a few people from, I got over 10,000 followers on YouTube. So 15,000 over here on Facebook. But so it is what it is there, but I particularly wanted to boycott YouTube just because they were trying to take me down to begin with. And I want them making money off me anyways. But, well, thank you for sharing, Bobby Hall. I appreciate it. Oh, that sucks, Mark. Yeah, losing your wallet's kind of a big thing, huh? Have to retrace your steps and find out where you left it. But yeah, getting up there in age, that stress stuff, not so good for us. But anywho, uh, this World War, it's whether people realize this or not, or whether they're actually calling it a World War III or not. It is. Michael Casper, when will the sheeple get to see it? I don't know. Like I said, I've already shared stuff. It's happening. It's just a matter of whether they're paying attention or not. You know, Tony Pellegrino was one. Well, kept saying he's not seeing it, so I started sharing it. And every time something came up about, U.S. Marshals arrested 27 people or 100 some people, or, whatever the numbers were, I'd share it to him. Here you go. Here's proof. People getting arrested. And then, again, here's one that was on media, was down on the bottom ticker there about the DOJ was trying to stop Trump from doing any more executions, where he'd already done like 6 or something, and they wanted to stop him from doing any more executions. Well, how do you stop somebody from doing more executions if they weren't already doing executions? And I don't think they stopped him. In fact, I'm pretty damn sure that they didn't. You're welcome, Alex, out there on YouTube for last week's Monday Night Law on parental rights. Yeah, I know there's a lot of parents out there that are, railroaded by family courts here and the Juvenile Protection Act, which subverts due process of law. But again, people need to learn what their rights are so they can effectively claim, exercise, and defend them. They have to call it out. Say, you're violating this right. You trespass the law. This is a common law trespass. And start calling them out. Hardwick versus Vreeken makes it very clear. Perjury. Yeah, that's a tough one, huh, Mark? Dealing with the stress. Yeah, I'm not sure which executions Velvet Pin 2 out on YouTube, but that's the thing, is they are happening. That's part of the executive order that Trump dug up from 1984 and made amendments to the manual for courts martial, and it came effective January 1st, 2019. Anyone who commits crimes after January 1st of 2019, any new crimes, that they could be sentenced to death. My guess is what they did back in 1984 was they got rid of the executions, for death sentences, right? Because they knew what they were getting into, and that they were trying to protect themselves, because if they ever got caught, well, they couldn't be sentenced to death. They couldn't be executed. So that's just how sneaky these people. Clear back in 1984. See how far back that even goes? They were pre-planning this stuff in 1984 to protect themselves. In case they got caught, they wouldn't be executed. So now, this leads into the next thing about that, is why I think the way things happened there with so-called Biden and the election there, that's after January 1st of 2019. Hi, Julie. Good to see you. Thank you. I'm doing all right. Yeah, I think Robert Mueller was executed. I don't know how many people caught those, like Hillary Clinton and uh, John McCain. They were wearing them boots on their feet to kind of like, and then uh, like John McCain, the boots switched feet. Whoops! Somebody didn't catch that one. Forgot to. They were covering up the ankle monitors. But Gitmo, last I heard, was filled up. Yeah, what was the Me 3? What's that? I see a couple people talking about the Me 3. What's the Me 3? And somebody will probably say what it is. Then oh yeah, okay. But I thought it was the Me 2. Me 2, Me 3. Okay, yeah, okay. Yeah, it's right. See, here's Wendy. She's talking about she sees so many arrests on all of her platforms she's on. Those articles automatically pop up in her algorithm feed. So, but if you're watching mainstream media, it's not out there. No, I don't know anything about that one. Velvet Pin should build the two foundations before we consider anyone aware of 58C and 71 or M3 as replacement. No, I'm not aware of 58C and 71. I don't know what that is. Where are you at, Karen? Yeah, I haven't seen Fix It Fast yet here tonight. He'll be on. I'm sure he'll be on here soon. He usually comes on just a little bit late, about an hour into it. Now I have court this coming Thursday for sentencing, but I filed my uh, renewed motion for a judgment of acquittal, and I did file my motion to stay the execution of the sentencing pending the outcome of my appeal, which I can't do the notice of appeal until after sentencing. I got 14 days from sentencing to file the notice of appeal, and then I'll have 42 days from there to file the brief, which I've already started on all that stuff. So uh, I'm pretty much ready to go on that. Uh, I'll be hammering this stuff out. It's This is going to be some big stuff here, folks. Oh, Maryland, back to Maryland, huh? Well, I'm way over here on the west coast, over here in Idaho. That's still quite a ways away. But oh yeah, well I made all my objections on the record, so uh, yeah. Well, all of the states need help. Everybody needs to start reporting crimes in their local area. That's part of that amendment that was made to the public corruption stuff through your state attorney general's office, all the way down to city level now. And I looked into it and I was like, whoa, wait a minute, in Idaho, and yeah, it was late 2025, which would have been right after April 28th when Trump did his executive order. Uh, they made amendments to that public corruption complaints to the state attorney general's office to include all the way down to city level. So um, that stuff's what's going on there. Making that going all the way down to city level. That was the change we did here in Idaho, which I'm pretty sure every single state did the same thing because of that executive order. Now, this is what I want to explain again. Behind that, I've seen, oh, my attorney general is so corrupt, blah 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 blah. Here's the thing, folks. It's the military that's behind it. It's not really the attorney general. I promise you, it ain't just the attorney general. So, this is part of Trump's executive order sending the military into the states to eradicate all crime. And in that executive order, Section 5 is directed at public servants. So, I'm not sure what you're talking about there, Velvet Pin. Do I have to do an Article 5 in order to do 10, 10, 19? Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what you're referring to. Article 5, what? That's Constitutional Convention? Um, no, I'm specifically referring to public corruption complaints about all of the elected officials in your state from county to city level now. Before, it didn't have anything to do with city level. Now it's been expanded. It was just like the county sheriff and the county prosecutor. Now it's county commissioners and anything in elected official wise in the county, and again down to city, like city mayors and city council. So any elected officials, they're you know. And here's the thing. Okay, every employee under that elected official, the elected official is responsible for. So, like, I did the research here, and for me, our city police, I thought that our city police chiefs were elected by the people. Apparently not. So, city police here in Idaho, they are directly under the city council and the city mayor. The city council makes the legislation, right? That's part of like the legislative branch. It's the mini legislative branch for a city level. Same thing with county commissioners is the legislative branch for the county level. And then your sheriff, right, is part of the executive. So no, we don't need a Article 5 convention. We don't need an Article 5 convention for anything. But this is what's happened with what Trump's done, is bringing back the rule of law. So the law is being executed again. It's being, you know, upheld, supported, defended, executed as it was intended. And now you're not even making any sense. Chief is 71, not one. What the heck are you talking about? Huh. Anyways, Alaska doesn't have any sheriffs? That's weird. Now, I was recently informed here that they were talking about in Washington doing away with the sheriffs altogether. And it's like, how do you get rid of the sheriff? I mean, that's your county level government. That's your head executive. Oh, in Washington, the governor wants to pick the sheriffs. No, the sheriffs are supposed to be elected by the people. Oh, in Alaska, you have state troopers. Oh boy, pooper troopers. But you know, they're all of the states are going to get cleaned up. I can guarantee you, it's coming. Um, Good question, Michael Casper. Should we report the sheriff if he doesn't have an oath of office? Yeah, absolutely. But mostly it's what we're looking at is the crimes that they're committing. Now remember, so every sheriff deputy, the sheriff is responsible for all of the actions of his deputies. So if a sheriff deputy trespasses the law and violates our rights and commits crimes, the sheriff is responsible. So when you do a public corruption complaint, it's against the sheriff, but including one of his deputies. And so they'll go in and do an investigation. And the thing is if you can establish a pattern of behavior, that it's not just a one-off thing, right? If this is something that they routinely do, this is what they do. Standard practice. So, for example, everybody could be reporting on this. So you got to have standing here. Here's the thing. You have to actually be the injured party. Now, here's the standard process, as far as I'm aware of everywhere, is they make an arrest without a warrant, and they take you to jail. They're supposed to take you immediately before a magistrate. That complaint is supposed to be laid before the magistrate. The accuser, the injured party, is supposed to take the stand, be sworn in under oath, testify, to be cross-examined, and all of that. That's part of due process of law. Okay? They're violating our rights to due process of law. They're committing crimes. They're acting under color of authority. They're acting under color of law. Their deprivation of rights while acting under color of authority and color of law. But the thing is even the Idaho Code says they're supposed to take us before a magistrate. So they're in direct violation of the statute or the code. They're in direct violation of the rules of procedure. specifically says to take it before a magistrate for an initial appearance. That the complaint has to be laid before the magistrate. So, those are things that we can report on right away. And as soon as you get 3 people that report the same thing, that's it. And I can tell you right now, this would take down the court system, right? Because it would lead into the corrupt court system. And who is it going to get? It's going to get all of your county commissioners. Because, see, the county commissioners are responsible for that level, whatever you call it, circuit court, superior court, whatever you call it in your state. In Idaho, we call it the magistrate division of the district court. But that's what we need to do, folks. We need to report on this corruption. How they're violating our rights. And like I said, if we start doing that, right there. Well, Karen, that's the thing again. That's what's going down, right? When you file these public corruption complaints, this is going to the military on the backside. Even though it's saying that it's going to the Attorney General, no, that's the military sitting there on the other side, really. This is making it so that people don't freak out, right? And that some of the deep staters and whatever the corrupt, they don't realize what's really happening here. Good to see you, Art. Yep, that's it. Always after an unlawful seizure and booking as a prisoner before a hearing. Got to have a commitment made by a justice of the peace. Where's the commitment to commit them to prison? Otherwise, it's kidnapping. Holding somebody for ransom. That's a felony. Well, good question, Julie. So, for example, when I go to court this week, if 2 witnesses went with me, could the 3 call out actors for treason? I don't see why not. But I just got to go tell on them. So it's real close. As soon as it's done here, and I basically, as soon as it's all finalized, they're done committing their crimes in the trial court level, and I have everybody's names of who did what, where, and when. Then I filed a public corruption complaint. Now, I could have done this in the very beginning just to start with, but I want to get the whole system. So yes, Rosaline, there is federal law and military law. Yes, absolutely. But here's the thing. Like the Insurrection Act, that's federal law. But the executive branch, militarily wise, executes that law. Right? Because it's not the president that's doing that. It's the commander-in-chief that executes the law in that sense. So, everything federal is supposed to be military. A well-regulated militia, being necessary for the security of a free state. The well-regulated militia federally is the military. The well-regulated militia state level is supposed to be the military. We're not supposed to have a police, a policy officers. Those are them other armed bodies of men, them standing armies that we're not supposed to have. We're supposed to have a well-regulated militia. Military. And I know a lot of people, oh, the police are fine, that's all good, blah, 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 blah. Well, not from my studies. Well, absolutely, Alex, out on here on YouTube. A notice of liabilities to the county commissioners may be an excellent way to get momentum. The thing is you give notice to the county commissioners that these magistrates or whatever you call them over there, commissioners or whatever in those lower courts, that are actively engaged in that conduct along with the prosecutor, right? County commissioners, they're the ones that are responsible for them and their actions. So if the county commissioners don't want to be taken down, they better start doing something about it to shut it down. At this point, even if it takes retraining, say, no. But who is it really that's, well, the courts are allowing it. The judges are allowing it. But it's the sheriff and the local city police. The sheriff is conspiring with the local city police to take these people in that they've been unlawfully arrested to begin with, without a warrant. Number two, there's no order of a commitment from a magistrate, from a justice of the peace, or whatever you call it in your area. Where is the order of commitment to commit them to prison? If there isn't, the sheriff is to refuse them. But that's just the way we've done it for the last 95 years. You're openly admitting committing treason. So, if enough people, squeaky wheel gets the grease, if enough people file public corruption complaints, something will be done about it. So make sure you go back to my March, was it March 2nd there? March 3rd? Monday Night Law? Oh, come on. Oh, I guess it would have been March 4th. No, March 2nd. Wednesday night workshop was the 4th. So I believe it was the March 2nd video that I did on that. I laid that all out about how to do public corruption complaints. So, it's time to stop complaining, bitching and complaining about how corrupt things are in your area, and start filing public corruption complaints and getting this stuff taken care of. Right, Art? Yep. Most warrants are unconstitutional by way of writs of assistance. Back under general warrants. Back into the King's Bench and the Star Chambers. Bills of attainder and bills of pains and penalties. The Fourth Amendment is very clear. No warrant shall issue but upon probable cause supported by oath or affirmation, stating with particularity the place to be searched or the person and thing to be seized. And a warrant's supposed to have a wet ink signature. It's also supposed to have a court seal on it. No rubber stamps. Well, and that's the thing is what I found in that State versus Clark case, Idaho case of 2019. They had to go back through the history of law of what the Fourth Amendment and Article 1, Section 17, which is the reciprocal of the Fourth Amendment, what the common law was at the time. Why do they have to go back to what the common law was? But the Idaho Code's the law. Uh-oh. No. Telling you folks, we're going back to the common law. So they had to go back through the history and find out, and they said, again, same thing as in the New York State Rifle Pistol Association versus Bruin case, is that, no, we don't care about any statutes, and we don't care about any case law. We want to know what the rule of law is, what the history of the right was. So in this instance, they were like, oh, well, gee, what was the first place they went to? There's James. Good. Fix it fast. Good to see you, brother. They went straight to Blackstone's Commentaries on the Laws of England. Why are they going straight to Blackstone's? Because that's Blackstone writing the common law stuff at the time of the beginning of this new nation called America here, which actually would be the American common law, okay? But, yeah, they cited the exact same section that I cited in my original motion to dismiss and motion to suppress. That they were making an arrest without a warrant, contrary to the common law and in direct violation of my right, Fourth Amendment and Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17. You got to have a warrant to make an arrest unless it's except for a felony. Or breaches of the peace, which only the injured party can make the actual arrest. Now, if you read Treatise on Arrest and False Imprisonment, yeah, the officer can make the arrest, but only goes so far as stopping the breach of the peace, which is threats of violence, assault, or actual physical battery in the middle of a fight. Physical. Okay? All right, stop, break it up. That is an arrest. Stop. Right? Not this taking people to jail, booking them, and all that. That's not an arrest. Arrest is, hey, you stop. You're stopping the crime from happening. Now, that's what they discovered was the rule of law. Was that no person can be arrested without a warrant for a misdemeanor. And that's part of what I argued there at the beginning of before trial, here almost a month ago now. Oh no, the merits of that I'm familiar with. Okay, the merits of the case was about the misdemeanor after making an arrest after the misdemeanor was completed. I'm like, I'm well aware of what was said there in State versus Clark because I read the case. I said, but I'm citing directly the words written in the case from the case itself, the case file. And what they did is the history of the right. So it doesn't matter. It's the rule of law that you cannot make an arrest without a warrant except for a felony. Period. So everybody that's been arrested without a warrant for something other than a felony, that's a public corruption complaint. I'll be damned. And they'll try to say, oh, well, traffic stops. No. Sorry. Fourth Amendment prohibits that. Those are bills of attainder. Those are back to them writs of assistance and bills of attainder. Hey, Jed Clampett. Good to see you. You know, this is the thing, is it's the rule of law has been subverted for so long. We, the people of today, have no freaking clue of the way things are supposed to be. So, plain and simple, it's time for us to wake up, learn the law, and start reporting on it. Start reporting the public servants for the crimes that they're committing. Rosaline, sure, you can absolutely send this video to whoever you want to send it to. But the reality is start filing the public corruption complaints online through your state attorney general's office. That's what needs to be done. It's past giving them notice. Right? They're already bound to know all this stuff. It's cleanup time. Yeah, but right? No, it's people better be careful out there, because when the people wake up and we start filing these public corruption complaints and the military's on the receiving end of those complaints, that's what Trump, again, how many times has Trump said somebody ought to sue these people? Now he's making it so that we can report them crimes all the way down to a city level. So it's up to us to do it. No, Maria, see, you're not getting it. Just like so many people. Don't, here's a pretty typical, well, except everyone responsible for removing them isn't doing their duties. As in, they're all corrupt behind it. No, yeah. Before, sure, absolutely. But what we need to comprehend here is that this is pursuant to Trump's executive order from April 28th, 2025, sending the military into the states to eradicate all crime. And in that executive order, in Section 5, it is directed at public servants. Okay? So I don't care if you're aware that they're all corrupt. We know. I know. I've been explaining that stuff for years. Okay? Everybody knows that they're corrupt. Please do not let that stop you from doing what needs to be done here. It's the military that's behind it. It's not really the Attorney General. That's just the avenue that Trump has put out there for us to use. So stop making excuses for not filing these public corruption complaints, folks. You want to clean up your area, this is the way Trump has put it in place for us to use. So let's use it. Okay? This is what's really behind the Attorney General, is the military. Plain and simple. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's right. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. The actual maxim of law, the one that really applies, is to know a thing and to be bound to know it are regarded in law as equivalent. So, absolutely. I believe that's on my March 2nd video that I shared that executive order, but I will I will do it again. Oh, let's see. Let's bring this one up. There it is. Executive Order 14288, strengthening and unleashing America's law enforcement to pursue criminals and protect innocent citizens. Okay? The purpose: safe communities rely on the backbone of heroism and a tough and well-equipped police force. My administration is steadfastly committed to empowering state and local law enforcement to firmly police dangerous criminal behavior and protect innocent citizens. Okay. When local leaders demonize law enforcement and impose legal and political handcuffs that make aggressively enforcing the law impossible, crime, thieves, and innocent citizens and small business owners suffer. My administration will therefore establish best practices at the state and local level for cities to unleash high-impact local police forces, protect and defend law enforcement officers wrongly accused and abused by state or local officials, and surge resources to officers in need. My administration will work to ensure that law enforcement officers across America focus on ending crime, not pursuing harmful, illegal, race, and sex-based equity policies. The result will be a law-abiding society in which tenacious law enforcement officers protect the innocent. Violations of law are not tolerated, and American communities are safely enjoyed by all their citizens again. Now, let's go down to Section 5. Holding state and local officials accountable. Right there. And it's in Section B, right here. Unlawfully engage in discrimination or civil rights violations under the guise of diversity, equity, and inclusion, initiatives that restrict law enforcement activity or endanger citizens. Willfully and unlawfully direct the obstruction of criminal law, including by directly and unlawfully prohibiting law enforcement officers from carrying out duties necessary to public safety and law enforcement. And see, here it is. The Attorney General shall pursue all necessary legal remedies and enforcement measures to enforce the rights of Americans impacted by crime and shall prioritize prosecution of any applicable violations of federal criminal law with respect to state and local jurisdictions whose officials lawfully engage in discrimination or civil rights violations under the guise of diversity, equity, and inclusion, initiatives that restrict law enforcement activity or endanger citizens. Nonetheless, it's any crime. And see, again, it's the Attorney General. This is the Attorney General's Office, Public Corruption Complaints. This is what he has put in place for us. And I'm telling you right now, this is the military behind it. Plain and simple. Oh, how about from invasion? Foreign invasion, Section 6. Okay? Provide new best practices to state and local law enforcement to aggressively police communities against all crimes. Expand access to improve the quality of training available. Now, I see that this is to protect them, right? But this is like for Antifa and that kind of stuff, right? Seek enhanced sentences for crimes against law enforcement officers. Promote investment in the security and capacity of prisoners. Increase the investment in the collection, distribution, and uniformity of crime data across jurisdictions. Okay? So, right here. In consultation with the Secretary of Homeland Security, the Attorney General, within 90 days, and the Secretary of Defense, and the heads of agency appropriate, shall increase the provision of excess military and national security assets in local jurisdictions to assist state and local law enforcement. No. This is the state attorney general. No, this is state and local, down to a city level, Art. Local meaning city. So, this would be right there at the perfect time frame, per this executive order, when the state of Idaho legislature made amendments to the public corruption complaint to include down to city mayor and city council, and expanded that reporting on crimes against the public servants. And again, who was behind it? The military. It's right there in writing. Let's see, where are you at? You're over there. Over there on Facebook. Let's see if I can get to that. Oh, switcheroonie over there. Now let's go to mine. Should be live right now. There we go. There you go. Let's go to mine. Where are we? There it is. There you go. I replied to your comment, Maria. And now, here's the thing, folks. I know it's completely backwards from what people think. Okay? But if you don't hear anything from your complaint, Now, again, I just like it right here. Idaho Attorney General Public Corruption Complaints. Did I spell that right? No, I did not. Goes right to it. Public corruption. This is where you gotta go. Okay? The complaint must be made against an elected county official. In Idaho, this includes commissioners, prosecuting attorneys, sheriffs, clerks, assessors, treasurers, and coroners. The complaint must include an allegation of criminal conduct. This is a criminal complaint, folks. Criminal. Okay? Under the Public Corruption Statute, the Attorney General is not authorized to investigate violations of civil law, including open meeting and public record violations. As we just showed in the executive order, this is about violations of rights. The alleged offenses must have occurred while the commissioner, prosecuting attorney, sheriff, clerk, assessor, treasurer, coroner in question was serving in their official capacity. In order for the Office of Attorney General to investigate a city official, a complaint must meet 3 criteria. The complaint must be made against an elected city official. In Idaho, this includes the mayor or city council members. The complaint must include an allegation of criminal conduct. Under the Public Corruption Statute, the Attorney General is not authorized to investigate violations of civil law, including open meeting or public record violations. We're talking about violations of rights. The alleged offense must have occurred while the mayor or council member in question was serving in their official capacity. Okay? Now, when I went to that part there, this 31-2002 and the 50-238, okay, it talks about how anyone who's, underneath them, that they're responsible for them. Okay? So, don't be deceived by what's being said here. So if it's local city police, then that's city. And then if the local city police are taking you to the county jail, then that's the sheriff. So that's 2 different complaints. But you put on the one on the city mayor and city council, right? Because the city council is the one that makes the legislation that tells them, city police, that they can make those arrests without a warrant. And then under the direction and control of the city mayor. And then taking us to jail, then that puts the sheriff as a co-conspirator. Okay? And that's how we get them. It's going to get the elected official, but it's also going to get the corrupt individual. Okay? And then when we turn around and go and sue them civilly, we can claim those punitive damages now because they're going to be criminally prosecuted. This is what's going on now, folks, pursuant to this executive order right here. Okay? 14288. 14288. April 28th, 2025. So, Art, U.S. Marshals, they're, you know what? U.S. Marshals might be the ones that are going and making some of these arrests, but, it's going to go through this process. But I can guarantee you, it isn't the Attorney General that's on the backside of all of this. It's the military sitting there. Oh, Austin Monson, 2000. They all have their own attorneys. Doesn't matter. Well, if they, Diana Marie, if they retaliate, tell on them again. But see, here's the thing. If you're doing the public corruption complaint, this is going to the Attorney General, not to them. So they won't even know. Okay? That's where this needs to be at is, and back to what I was saying before was explaining this is if you don't hear anything, that's actually good news. It's backwards from what we typically think. Like, well, they should be contacting us and letting us know. No. If you do hear from them, it's either A, yeah, we looked into it and we couldn't find anything. Or B, hey, do you happen to have some evidence on that? We couldn't seem to locate the evidence for that. Do you happen to have certain documents or evidence for that? That would be the only reasons why they would contact you. If you don't hear anything, that's actually good news. Because that means there's an ongoing investigation and they can't talk to you. So, okay, Austin Monsoon, pay attention to what I'm talking about here. Public corruption complaint goes straight to through the Attorney General's office, and I'm telling you right now, it's the military that's on the backside of it. This really isn't the Attorney General. Okay? Pursuant to the executive order. This is why Trump sent the military into the states. You have to read between the lines on this executive order, but it's right there in Section 5. Holding state and local officials accountable. This is going all the way down to a city level. Okay? And again, read that again. The Attorney General shall pursue all necessary legal remedies and enforcement measures to enforce the rights of Americans impacted by crime. Okay? Down to a city level. This was the change. This was the change that happened. Okay? See how I'm putting the pieces of the puzzle together here? And how I'm okay, I'll show you. I'll just show you. Let's go to their link on this, on what it's talking about. Investigations and action against county elected officers. Duties of Attorney General. When was this? Oh, wait. This was added in 2014. It was last amended 2025. After this executive order, it was amended to add it all the way down to city level. Okay? And see here, this right here, it even says, it precludes any county prosecuting attorney from investigating and prosecuting such violation or referring such violation to a neighboring county for investigation and prosecution. Oh, it says, nothing in this section shall be construed to. But based on the executive order, this goes to the military. Okay? That's what's going on. This is to shall increase the provision of excess military and national security assets in local jurisdictions to assist state and local law enforcement. So that's it, folks. It's right there. Well, Troy Grover, file a public corruption complaint. But I mean, if it's your employer, uh, if it's an employer, then you can report that to your county prosecutor. Okay, county prosecutor can prosecute that stuff. You getting fired over a Trump 2024 coffee cup? Oh, from a tribal government and accused of being. Yeah, I mean, if it's part of government, absolutely. Yep. Well, get it filed. So is that about as clear as mud now? It should be clearer than mud, and how this is the military, right? The military is who is behind the Attorney General and the Secretary of Defense, in consultation with the Secretary of Homeland Security and the heads of agencies as appropriate. Increase the provision of excess military. Okay? So, yeah, and you might go back to, kind of the short version here tonight, but go back to March 2nd, where I covered this in depth. Okay? This is where we're at, folks. Make no mistake, this is a military operation. And it cannot be made any more clear than this executive order right here, because this is the order ordering the military into the states, all the way down to a city level. It can't be any more clear. I can't make it any more clear, right? It's a little blurry here, until you read between the lines, because most of it is all about protecting them, which I get, right? Because they're coming in after illegal. Well, actually, here's the thing. Let's look at the other executive order right before it. 8-7. Protecting American communities from criminal aliens. Same day. Okay? Two different executive orders. So this eliminates the possibility of really that executive order there, 8-8, was for rounding up the bad guys, illegal aliens. No, that's this one. Federal Director of Immigration, National Security, and Foreign Policy is axiomatic. The Constitution provides the federal government with plenary and authority regarding immigration to protect the sovereignty of the nation and to conduct relations with other nations who must be able to deal with one national government on such matters. So, but look, wait. And Article 4, Section 4 requires the federal government to protect each of the states against invasion. Imagine that. How many times have I put that out there? Thank you, Donald J. Trump. Citing Article 4, Section 4. Don't need any statutes. Don't need the code. It's right in the frickin' Constitution. About time. Okay? So, this eliminates the idea that the other executive order is about the foreign invasion. Because there's two executive orders. 14287 is about rounding up the illegal aliens, the foreign invaders. And 14288, that's the one that gets down to this going after county and city level public servants. Okay? Right? That, yep. Dog catcher, code enforcement, any of that. Just remember, they're all under, at a city level, they're all under the city mayor and city council. Now, if you can, again, if you get technically two or more, technically three, if you get three people that are filing the same thing, that establishes what is known as a pattern of behavior. Now we can get them on the conspiracy to commit crimes, right? Then we get them under that Insurrection Act stuff. Okay? So that's the key to all of that. And the fact is, again, two separate executive orders. So the 14287 is about the foreign invaders, the illegal aliens, and all that. So that leaves this one kind of a little bit more narrow, doesn't it? Because you got the one here. This one here doesn't have anything to do with that down here. It's not mixed together. They're two separate executive orders. This one is sending the military into the states. This is to eradicate all crime. And again, it's about reading between the lines and fully comprehending what's being said there, what's being ordered to execute the law. And that's a military order. That's what an executive order is. The military gives orders. Okay? Yes, freedom fighter, we actually have every right to make an arrest. So, anywho, yeah, in Canada, it seems like you're a little bit different there, but still under the common law. Exactly, Bobby Hall. That means that their funds and assets can be confiscated. Absolutely. All right, folks. So, I'm equipping you with the tools. Now it's up to you to do something about it. You know, it's if you want something done about it, you got to do something. Now, you wanna support me and make a donation to me over here, over there, buy me a coffee, whatever. That's the one that I got set up for making donations. It'll even accept cryptocurrency, okay? So for those of you guys who want to donate using your cryptocurrency, you can. It'll automatically change it over to U.S. currency for me. But Rosaline, foreign invasions is 14287. 14288 is your county and city. That's going after the public services, and that's Section 5. Foreign invasion is the 14287. that entire executive order. And again, this is all going to end up going through military tribunals, folks. This isn't going to go through local courts. Guarantee it. All right? Now, I find my... Yeah, that's cool. Sending off a judicial complaint. That's great. Send a criminal complaint through the Attorney General. All right, folks. I'm going to call it a night. And hope everybody enjoyed tonight. And if you really enjoyed the show, please consider making a donation as I provide this stuff for free. And hey, if you learned something, share the wealth. Support somebody who's teaching you the right thing to do here. All right. Everybody have a wonderful night. God bless. And Wednesday night workshop. We'll see you Wednesday night. For those of you over there on Patreon,